Imagine waking up on a Tuesday morning, not to the shrill scream of an alarm clock, but to the soft, natural light filtering through the blinds of a home that you own entirely. There is no looming anxiety, no calendar packed with obligations that you despise, and no debt collectors circling your mailbox. While your neighbors are currently sprinting to their vehicles, gleaming high-end machines that represent years of future labor, you are simply putting on your sneakers to walk your dog through the quiet, dew-covered streets of your middle-class neighborhood. You watch them pull out of their driveways, faces tight with stress, eyes glued to the clock, racing toward professional environments they find soul-crushing just to maintain the facade of a lifestyle they cannot actually afford. You, on the other hand, are the master of your own time, operating with a quiet, calm autonomy that they might mistake for simplicity. Yet you possess a level of freedom that their heavy monthly commitments will never allow them to touch. This is the reality of the stealth resident. It is the absolute contrast between appearing successful in the eyes of society and actually possessing the underlying resources that provide genuine, long-term stability. Most people in your neighborhood are trapped in a cycle of lifestyle inflation where every increase in their professional standing is immediately met with a corresponding increase in their fixed obligations. They are house poor, meaning their primary asset is a weight around their neck, demanding constant maintenance and massive periodic payments that dictate every single decision they make. They are playing a game of perception where the size of the garage and the brand of the car are the only metrics that matter, while you are playing the game of longevity and psychological peace. Consider the math behind this quiet existence. You drive a vehicle that is over a decade old, a machine that has long since depreciated to its floor value, yet it performs its primary function flawlessly. It takes you from point A to point B without a monthly payment attached to it. While your neighbors are paying a premium for the latest technology and the social signaling that comes with it, you are redirecting those same resources into a diversified portfolio of assets that generate a consistent monthly surplus. This is not about deprivation. It is about the strategic allocation of your most valuable resource, your time, to ensure that your future self never has to compromise under pressure. When you walk your dog, you observe the frantic energy of the morning commute. You see the polished exteriors of the houses, the manicured lawns that cost a fortune to maintain, and the people inside them who are essentially renting their lives back from the bank. The mortgage, the car notes, the high-interest debt for household upgrades. These are the shackles that prevent them from ever truly pivoting in their careers or taking a risk on a new venture. They are so busy working to keep their current life afloat that they have no bandwidth to build a better one. You, however, have mastered the art of low overhead, which is the ultimate hidden luxury in our modern economy. Low overhead is not just a line item on a budget, it is a psychological shield. When your fixed costs are minimized, your tolerance for uncertainty increases exponentially. If the economy shifts, if your industry undergoes a transformation, or if you simply decide that you want to move in a different direction, you do not panic. Panic is a luxury for those whose survival is tied to their next paycheck. Because you have optimized your life to be lean and intentional, you are essentially untouchable. You do not worry about the next cycle of professional uncertainty because your foundation is built on rock, not on the shifting sands of credit-based consumption. Let's break down the mechanics of this philosophy. To achieve this level of autonomy, you must adopt a radical approach to your housing costs. The standard advice you hear from conventional institutions is often designed to keep you in the cycle of debt for as long as possible. They suggest that you can spend 30 or even 40% of your monthly income on housing. This is a trap. If you want to claim your independence in less than a decade, you must operate by a different set of rules. Your housing costs, including mortgage, taxes, insurance, and maintenance, should ideally hover around 20% of your take-home pay, or even less if you're truly ambitious. When you keep this primary cost low, you unlock the ability to direct your monthly surplus toward assets that compound. Think about the difference in trajectory. Your neighbor is paying thousands of dollars every month just for the privilege of sleeping in a master bedroom they are currently paying off over 30 years. That capital is gone. It is consumed by interest and taxes. By choosing a home that is modest and well within your means, you are capturing that difference every single month. Over 10 years, that differential grows into a substantial fund that provides you with options. You aren't just saving for a rainy day, you're purchasing your own exit strategy from the traditional professional grind. This is the essence of the stealth wealth movement. It is the practice of keeping your standard of living below your actual capacity. The world will try to convince you that you are falling behind if you are not upgrading your surroundings as your professional value increases. They will call you frugal as if it were an insult. But let them. While they are busy looking at the surface, you are busy building the infrastructure of a life that is entirely under your control. The goal is not to impress the people who live next door. The goal is to reach a point where you never have to ask anyone for permission to live the life you want. Observe the anxiety in the neighborhood at 5 o'clock in the evening. There is a collective sigh of relief when the cars pull back into the driveways, but it is a short-lived peace. Tomorrow the cycle begins again. They are exhausted, not just from the work, but from the weight of maintaining the image. Their houses are not homes, they are displays. They are expensive stages where they perform the role of the successful professional. You, meanwhile, have a home that is a sanctuary. It is a place of rest, not a source of stress. Because you do not need to keep up with the trends, your home is a reflection of your personality and your values, not your credit limit. There is a profound freedom in being the person nobody notices. When you don't broadcast your success through physical markers, you are free from the target that usually follows those who do. You can move through the world with a sense of anonymity that is incredibly liberating. You don't have to defend your lifestyle choices to anyone because you aren't trying to sell them a version of yourself that doesn't exist. You are simply you, comfortable, secure, and focused on the long-term horizon. Consider the math of compounding interest on the surplus you generate by living in a modest home. If you take that extra amount you would have spent on a prestige property and invest it in high-quality assets, the gap between you and your neighbors will widen into a chasm within just a few years. They are building a mountain of debt. You are building a mountain of assets. Eventually, the interest generated by your assets will cover your basic living expenses entirely. At that point, you are no longer working for survival, you are working for purpose. That is the ultimate objective of sound financial planning. Many people fear the idea of downsizing or staying in a smaller home because they worry about what it says about them. This is the ego trap. The ego wants to be seen, to be validated, and to be recognized as successful by the standards of the crowd. But the crowd is rarely correct about what constitutes a good life. The crowd is often stressed, sleep-deprived, and perpetually one crisis away from total instability. Do not seek validation from the crowd. Seek validation from your balance sheet and your internal sense of peace. When you finally reach the stage where your monthly surplus is consistently high, you will realize that the things you thought you needed, the newer car, the bigger house, the expensive vacations, were never actually about your happiness. They were about the temporary dopamine hit of social approval. Once you remove that need, you find a much deeper sense of satisfaction in the quiet accomplishments of your daily routine. You enjoy the walk with your dog because you aren't checking your watch to see how many minutes you have until you need to be in a meeting. You enjoy your coffee because you aren't worrying about the interest rate on your mortgage. This is the secret that the modern economy tries to hide from you. The greatest luxury is not ownership of high-end goods, but the ownership of your own time. When you are no longer a participant in the race to signal status, you become a spectator to the absurdity of the people who are. You start to see the patterns. You see the stress in their posture, the tension in their conversations about work, and the desperation in their attempts to find meaning through consumption. It is a sad cycle, and you are the one who has managed to step off the track. In the next 10 years, you have the opportunity to transform your entire existence by adhering to the principle of low fixed costs and aggressive, disciplined asset accumulation. You can reach a state of total autonomy. It is not a path of hardship, it is a path of extreme clarity. You are choosing to sacrifice the immediate shallow gratification of a high-status lifestyle in favor of the profound, lasting satisfaction of being truly independent. It is a trade that every person who has achieved genuine freedom has made. So the next time you're walking your dog and you see your neighbors rushing out to their gleaming vehicles, don't feel jealous. Don't feel like you're missing out. Feel a sense of gratitude for the path you have chosen. You are the stealth resident. The one who understands that the most powerful position in the world is to be someone whose life is not dictated by the expectations of others. You are building something that is not meant to be shown off, but to be felt every single day, in the quiet, undisturbed comfort of your own freedom. As you continue your walk, take a deep breath of the morning air. It is free. The sun rising over the horizon is free. The quiet, calm life you have built is priceless. You are not a player in their game of status, and that is exactly why you have already won. Keep your costs low, keep your eyes on the long term, and keep building your fortress of solitude and stability. The world will eventually catch on to the fact that you have the one thing they are all chasing, but can never seem to find. the ability to live exactly as you please without the weight of the world on your shoulders.